Are you a beginner struggling to win battles in Total War Warhammer 3? These 4 tactics will change everything. Watch me prove how they work each single time, because good strategy beats expensive armies, always. The first tactic we have is the Hammer and Anvil. This is the bread and butter of all military combat for thousands of years, and it works perfectly in Warhammer as well. To perform this we need 2 things: a strong infantry unit to hold the enemy in place, that's the Anvil. Then we need the Hammer. The unit's sole job is to charge into the enemy and cause massive panic and pain. Let's look at what units you need. For the Anvil, you need units that are high in melee defense. This reduces the enemy's damage against the unit, allowing them to hold longer. Next is armor. Clearly more armor means less damage taken. Then leadership, as the higher the leadership, the less likely they are to run away. Finally health. The higher the health, the more likely they are to survive. Great units for this are Iron Breakers. They have high armor and excellent melee defense. Chaos Chosen as the heavily armored, and Empire Halberdiers as the sturdy and cost efficient. Next we have the Hammer. You will need units that are high in charge bonus, and this directly affects melee attack and weapon strength, so it's so important. Speed, the faster they are, the quicker they can cycle and charge away once the hammer blows. Weapon strength, this keeps up the damage when in melee to help those damage sustained penalties. And melee attack for successful hits. And finally mass, because this just helps punch through the enemy and makes it look better. The best units for this are Blood Knights. They are the best cavalry units in the game. Demograph Knights for the Empire, and they are devastating. And even Minotaurs are good for this as well. To perform it, we need to do the following. We need to engage head on with the opponent using the Anvil. These units will hold the unit in place, taking damage but holding long enough to initiate the hammer. The hammer comes from behind and strikes into the back as fast as possible, causing massive penalties to leadership. They stay engaged for around 5 to 10 seconds for massive effect. Then you disengage them and strike again until the unit's leadership is gone and they rout or shatter entirely. You can then repeat this across the entire line until the enemy is done. The next tactic is flanking. Now I think this is called XXX ACs, but don't quote me on this. It is an ancient Roman tactic. This tactic also works perfectly in Warhammer. It uses a high leadership unit to pin, and then a more powerful unit with high melee attack to flank around the unit and hit them from the side or behind. It's similar to the hammer, but it doesn't require the massive charge bonus to do the damage. The setup here is similar to tactic 1, but requires no cavalry. We need an anvil once again, such as the Iron Breakers, to hold the line and make sure the enemy is pinned in place. Again, we are focusing on melee defense, armor and leadership here. Then behind the main anvil we need our elite infantry that will just devastate the enemy. They will need to be high in weapon strength, high in melee attack, and high in leadership. The best units for this are great swords. They have excellent weapon strength, they're durable and very effective. The Black Orcs have armor piercing attacks, even the Phoenix Guard will be fantastic here. To perform this we need to engage the enemy head on with our anvil, and then bring the elite infantry around the side and into the flank or rear of the enemy. Effectively doing the same as the hammer, but with massive damage sustained penalties. Once the enemy is routed, they are free to engage the next flank and repeat. Next is Focus Fire. This is a simple tactic where the ranged units focus on one unit and clear them before they can even get near to the front line. To set this up, we need a ranged unit that can focus fire. For this, we need a unit that has high missile damage. This is the most important stat. We need to ensure we can cause as much damage as possible to the enemy. Preferably, we also want this to be armor piercing to take down the more high tier enemies as well. We also need to have high accuracy, and this is important as the enemies will be moving, and more importantly will be mostly single entities that you'll be focusing on. So we want to make sure most of our shots will hit the enemy before they get to us. Range is also important here because the further away they are, the more they can be hit, which means the more damage they can be taken before they reach the line. And then other considerations here are ammunition and reload speed, because we want to have as much ammo and be able to actually reload as fast as possible. Great units for this will be the Jezzails. They have high range, high AP damage, great accuracy. The Sisters of Avalon, they have armor piercing missiles and extremely good range. And then the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen, they're solid, they have great AP damage and they consistently fire. To do this though, we'll need to select all the units at once, select the unit we want to focus down, and the best units for this to target are large enemies, ranged units, and also cavalry. Basically the ones that are likely to cause the most damage to you. And then when you focus on them, you're going to stop their ability to engage, and this gives your infantry a chance to move forward and deal with weaker enemies. Finally, tactic 4, the Cavalry Clear. This is a brilliant tactic that uses the cavalry to wipe the enemy's biggest weapon, artillery and range units. What you need for this is units that are high in speed to cover the distances needed to get to those ranged units, high in melee attack to take down the ranged units that have a poor melee defense, and charge bonus, but is not as critical here. Great units for this are all-shot cavalry, but also units such as outriders for harassment, warhounds as they're cheap and expendable, flying units such as harpies, basically anything that moves fast. Once the battle begins, the infantry will engage and the ranged units will stay behind. If the enemy hasn't protected them with spears, you are free to run behind and charge into them. And this should melt the ranged units fast, but not only that, it stops them from firing at the front lines, allowing you to relax with the infantry, and then you can perform tactics 2 and 3 to melt the enemy, and this will stop your opponent ever hurting your line with ranged units. So that's 4 battle tactics to help you conquer the battlefield as any faction. Now, I need your help. What tactic do you like the most? Drop me a comment and let me know. Also, do you have any tactics that you think would be useful for new players? I really appreciate everybody's comments, and that would be really helpful if you can let me know. And if this helped you, smash that like button and subscribe for more Warhammer 3 guides. Your support means everything to me. You should now have everything you need. These tactics, you should start to see massive improvements in your battles. Check out the video on the screen now for more great guides. And thank you guys. See you in the next one.